For today's kernel, we're going to jump back into the Apple Podcast reviews. This one didn't have a name on it, so if it sounds familiar, reach out, let me know if this was you. But this person wrote, Chris's topics provide a great start to financial information research, quick but loaded with information. I use your podcast as discussion topics during my monthly financial accountability meetings. Thank you for your content. So, that's great. I'm happy that these episodes can help spark a conversation. And that's all I can really hope for is that after you listen to this, it makes you want to go and dig deeper into each topic. So thanks so much for leaving this review, and I hope you all enjoy today's episode. Hey, this is Chris. Hope you're doing well, and welcome to Popcorn Finance, the show where we discuss finance and about the time it takes to make a bag of popcorn. Last week, I shared with you some of the details of the traditional 401k plan. But did you know that there is not only a Roth IRA option, but there is a Roth 401k option that some of your employers might have available to you? So today we're going to look at the difference between those two versions of the 401k plan. But before we do, I wanted to remind you all to come join us over on This Is Awkward. It is a podcast that I host alongside Allison Baggerly from Inspired Budget. And we launched it earlier this year, and we've been having a really good time walking through some of the awkward situations that the listeners have been sending over to us, from dealing with friends that don't tip to family members that always have something to say about the way you spend your money. We've covered a ton of great topics already so far this year, and if you have an awkward money situation that you want to share with us and have us talk through it on the show, you can be anonymous. You do not have to give us your real name, or just tell us and we'll make sure we'll make up a nice fake name for you. Please join us. You can reach out to us at 707-200-8259, or you can send us a DM over on Instagram at This Is Awkward Podcast, or just check out the link in the show notes if you want to take a listen. All right, so traditional 401k versus Roth 401k. And I want to say a big thanks to @BarbaJCerna on Instagram, who sent in this question and wanted to know the difference between these two plans. Like, what is this all about? So let's jump in first with a quick summary of the traditional 401k plan, which we covered last week. And so this plan was established in the early 1980s, and contributions are made on a pre-tax basis, meaning that you're putting money away in this plan before it gets a chance to be taxed, meaning that you don't pay federal and state income tax on this money when you put it in, but you will pay tax on that money when you take it out of the account. The Roth 401k option became available after Congress passed and this is a long name here, the Economic Growth and Tax Relief Reconciliation Act back in 2001. And since the beginning of 2006, employers have been able to actually amend their 401k plans to give you the option of having a Roth 401k. And the thing is, not all companies offer this option, but if they do, the big change is that you can put your money into this plan on a post-tax basis. And this means that you are putting in money after it's already been taxed. So if I give you that example we used last week, if you make $50,000 and then contribute $5,000 into your 401k plan, if it is a traditional 401k, that $5,000 will be subtracted from your $50,000 in earnings. And so you'd only be taxed on $45,000 for that year. With a Roth 401k option, you're going to be taxed on that entire $50,000, even though you put $5,000 into your Roth 401k. And so now you may be thinking, like, what's the point then? If I'm going to pay taxes on it, why wouldn't I choose the traditional option? Well, the big benefit of the Roth 401k comes when you withdraw that money, because you can take every penny out of that Roth 401k after you retire completely tax-free. So this means that if you were to invest all of your money into a Roth 401k and in retirement you slowly withdrew that money out of your account, you wouldn't be subject to any income tax, because that money, since it was placed into a Roth 401k, is not subject to taxation. So that is the huge benefit of this plan. When it comes to the restrictions on the plans, the traditional 401k and the Roth 401k are very similar. They both require you to wait until 59 and a half to withdraw that money out. And if you try to withdraw money out early, you'll be subject to a 10% penalty regardless of which account you chose. However, one thing to note with the Roth 401k, if you were to withdraw your money early, and it is not a qualified distribution, meaning that for a Roth 401k, 5 years must have passed since your first contribution before you actually try to make a withdrawal. and you're also 59 and a half. So if you have not met both of those criteria, this will be considered an unqualified distribution. And in that situation, you could end up not only paying the 10% penalty, but also paying tax on the money you withdraw. That is not the money that you actually put into the plan. So this I just said a lot of words there. Basically what this means is they're not going to tax you again on the money you put into the plan, because obviously you pay tax on that money before you put it in. But if you pull this money out early, you could have to pay tax on the portion of the money that is considered growth or earnings. Because, for example, you may put $1,000 into this Roth 401k plan and now it's grown to $5,000. So $1,000 of that money is the money you put into the plan, but that other $4,000, that's growth, that's appreciation in the value of the investments that you have purchased in this plan. And so in this situation, if you withdraw your money early, you could potentially have to pay taxes on that portion of money that is considered growth or earnings. So that's just one thing to be careful of, and a reason why you really shouldn't be thinking about pulling money out of your plan unless it's just a dire emergency and you have to. And so the big question that always comes up is, which one is better? Should I do a Roth account? Should I do a traditional account? Which one is going to be best for me? And there's a lot of really intelligent people who have done some great analysis over the long term of what financially will work better in these different situations. For me, the biggest point I can make is, as long as you're consistently putting money into either version of a 401k, you're going to be able to retire. And if you wanted to, you could even create a mix of the two. You could have a traditional 401k and then a Roth IRA, or vice versa. And this would give you the option to control your tax liability in retirement a little bit by being able to pull a little bit from one and pay taxes on that, and pull from the other and not pay any taxes on that money. The real key is to actually put money into these plans on a consistent basis. That's going to be the best bet for you to make sure you can retire. If you are listening to this and you are a high earner, a traditional account might be better for you if you're looking for ways to reduce the amount of taxes you're paying right now. So it can vary, but to me, the biggest point is just make sure you're contributing consistently into one of these plans. So thank you again to Barbara J. Cerna for sending in her question. And she's sending this question because I put out a request on Instagram for anyone who had questions about 401k plans to send it in to me, and I would work on answering it here on the show. I'm going to be putting together a special Q&A episode to go through some of the questions that I've received. And if you're catching this early enough and you have a question regarding 401k plans, feel free to send it in to me. You can come over and join me on Instagram at Popcorn Finance Podcast and send me your question there. You can email me at questions@popcornfinance.com if you prefer to use email. Or you could even call or leave me a voicemail. 707-200-8259 is the phone number. I appreciate you all joining me here for another bag of popcorn. I hope you all have an amazing rest of your week. And remember to get out and safely vote.
Yeah, boy, keep it poppin' like Mary Poppins.